Hey y'all, this is David, the Georgia photographer, and today what I want to do is a quick review of the 90mm Sigma DGDN lens. Full disclosure right out of the bat, Sigma doesn't even know I have this lens, so this is a fully independent review with no biases because I don't own this lens. This belongs to Hassan. He's loaned it to me for this review, because he was really wanting me to try out the Sigma lenses because he was pretty well convinced that I would like them if I ever tried them. Spoiler, he was right. These lenses are literally phenomenal. I have the 65mm, which is in a separate review, as well as this one. That he sent them both to me at once. And I shot some street with the 65mm to start with, and it performed amazingly well. It was crazy how good the images were coming out of that lens. So I had high hopes that the 90mm would perform equally as well. It did not disappoint. I took this lens to an event in Chattanooga called Nightfall, and I shot basically candid kind of street at that event. I have put a few photos from the 90mm on my Instagram. You can tell in the photos, it's crazy how good the lens actually performs. And just like the 65, the lens is constructed essentially identical. It's a metal construction lens, so it's kind of heavy, but I'll take the lens cap off. That's a 90mm lens. It's tiny. To be a 90mm, they have figured out the engineering to where they didn't waste any space. With a mirrorless camera, you get a very small form factor. Everything about the lens oozes high quality. Everything about it. All the way to the lens hood. The lens hood, the complexity of the lens hood and how it locks up is just, it has this very pronounced lock click, and it's not even loose. You have to forcibly unlatch it, and then it indexes and comes off. They store exactly the same. Locks on, you don't drop your lens hood. It's well made. The lens hood has all the typical features that a lens hood has. It has the ribbed identity ID so that the light doesn't reflect off of the inner surface, and it's matted, you know, the usual lens hood stuff. The lens cap, they're reminiscent of the newer Nikon style. The lens itself has a external focus ring, which is fly-by-wire. It's electronically coupled to the camera, so that you put the camera in manual focus mode, and then this lens ring becomes active. And you do that with a switch right here on the side of the lens. You throw this switch to manual, and now this ring becomes active. It turns on the focus mode for manual focus override. When you're wanting to use back button focus on a Leica camera, Leica has a unique scenario with the way they execute back button focus. On a Leica lens, you press the center of the four-way joystick in, and that's your back button focus button, but you have to put the camera in manual focus for it to work. That's how you gain back button focus. And it also activates the manual focus ring on the lens. Well, on this one, you throw this switch and it turns off autofocus, turns on manual focus, and enables the ring. So then you have back button focus and this ring. And if you move the ring any at all, it does a function where it automatically zooms in so that you can get precise manual focus, which is a kind of a nice feature, and the Leica lenses do it too. This is a native L-mount lens. That means it fits Panasonic Lumix cameras, Leica cameras, and the Sigma camera right out of the box. This lens can be had in a plethora of mounts, but this L-mount design is a very, very versatile design. Hassan's using it on a Lumix camera, and it works wonderfully for him as well. This 90mm quickly became, of the two that I've borrowed and used, this one quickly became the favorite. The rendering of this lens is just stunning. The Aperture Ring is also like the 65mm in that it has 1/3 stop increments all the way through the range from f2.8 to f22, and then if you push it past f22, it clicks into A, which is automatic. That gives you camera control. The thumb wheel on the camera now drives the aperture instead of you having to dial it manually on the lens. If you want it to be aperture priority, you just select it over, pick the aperture you want, and now you're in aperture priority. If you want to be in shutter priority or program, you switch it to A, and that puts you in shutter priority or program, or that enables you to use shutter priority. Otherwise, you'll just be a manual. But it's really well executed. The knurling is really nice. These are just wonderful lenses. So knowing that, going forward, I have a new contender versus Leica glass for my SL2. This one's minimum focus distance is 1/2 meter. It says 1.64 feet is minimum focus. That's almost macro. I mean, you don't think it is, but with a 90mm and you're 1.5 feet away, you know, you're putting a lot in the frame at 1.5 feet. So with that, I appreciate you guys watching. And until next time, this is David, the Georgia photographer, and I want to tell you to get your camera out and go take a picture with it, all right? We'll see you later. Bye-bye.